How do you start your morning? Hopefully not isolated and estranged from your friends and family with a guy who looks like this. This is Marshall Applewhite, the founder of Heaven's Gate. He wasn't as harmless as he looks. I mean, listen to this.
The mind that was in Jesus, what? That mind is in me?
Yeah. Somehow, that guy convinced his followers that Earth was to be recycled.
Planet Earth about to be recycled.
Today, we're going to talk about how one man's crazy vision led to the biggest self-inflicted loss of human life on U.S. soil. Today, we're talking about Heaven's Gate. Hey, welcome to Breakfast Cereal. My name's Josh. I gotta say, I've really been enjoying this second season, shall we call it, back on the couch. So far, I've covered Britain's Charles Bronson and Australia's Mark Chopper Reed. I'd love to hear from all you cornflakes on who or even what you'd like to see me cover in future episodes here. So drop that in the comments for me. And hey, if you haven't already and you like this episode, make sure to subscribe and hit that hype button. Anyways, cults, man. How are people still falling for this garbage? You would think that after, 1, 10, 20 groups of people get duped by a lunatic and voluntarily eliminate themselves from the gene pool, that people would, start to catch on, right? Apparently not. It seems like every day a new one pops up. Twin Flames universe, the AROPL, the Zizians. I mean, those guys are on a mission to save Earth from rogue AI, kind of like some kind of weird version of vegan John Connor or something.
Chill out.
But for real, how many Netflix documentaries do we need to see about guys who look like this, dragging a bunch of people who look like this into the woods somewhere to do yoga and stockpile weapons? You know the documentaries I'm talking about. It's like, episode 1, everything seems great. Wow, what an idyllic life. I could get into this. But then, episode 2, all of a sudden the leader guy's demanding, to sleep with your wife. And by 3, well... like, enough is enough. Sure, Heaven's Gate hung up their Nikes back in '97, but they weren't the first cult, and they're definitely not gonna be the last. Just take a long, hard look at this guy. Who, in their right mind, is gonna take anything he says seriously? I don't know, maybe this guy.
We've gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all!
No, the answer is no one. See, guys like this, they can't be upfront about their intentions from the start or else nobody would sign up, right? Like, imagine you're just minding your own business and this guy walks up to you in a cheap one-piece uniform that looks like something he found dumpster diving behind Universal Studios and tells you that A, the Earth is about to be wiped clean in a cosmic reset. Hey, but don't worry, because B, your soul can survive by hitching a ride on a UFO that's trailing the Hale Bopp comet. And C, all you gotta do is cut off your balls and kill yourself. Sure, you'd laugh for like 25, 30 minutes straight, but once you saw Marshall just staring back at you with a set of those spiraling hypnotic glasses, you'd be like, oh wait, you're serious? Sorry, I'd love to stay and chat, but I just remembered that my house is on fire. Gotta go, bye. See, remember, this is Netflix episode 1 still.
Let's start at the very beginning.
In the beginning, it was all fun and games, Heaven's Gate. It was just aimed at sci-fi nerds and people who jerk off to ET and shit. And turns out, hey, there's a decent amount of people into that. Look at this chart. I know I usually only use charts in the void, but I need some charts for this. By the mid-70s, they had between 130 to 200 members. So bank this chart in your brain, because I'm gonna bring it back in a bit, okay? Okay, so Marshall started out telling his newfound followers that he was an extraterrestrial representative from a kingdom that existed beyond Earth called the Next Level. he convinced them that he had been sent on a mission to identify a small percentage of humans that contained dormant deposits from the next level. Those deposits? Aliens. Aliens dormant inside people. Anyway, with his guidance, his followers would eventually transform into their true extraterrestrial forms and board a spaceship with him back to the next level, just in time to avoid a cosmic recycling event that would destroy Earth. Batshit insane, I know. But hey, I mean, relatively harmless. So a bunch of people were just like, hey, cool, I mean, my parents are Christians and they're annoying, so sign me up. And for a while, things were great. Episode 1.
Doe, a deer, a female deer.
Join up. We'll give you a tracksuit and a cool new alien name like Jawandi or Okay, just because you spell something stupid doesn't make it alien. Episode 1, ride around the country in one of our vans like Scooby-Doo, hanging out at college campuses with people dressed up like this. All fun and games, right? But remember, folks, remember.
Let's see if I can make it easier.
We still got episode 2 and 3 to talk about.
Ray, a drop of golden sun.
Granted, I mean, Marshall here wasn't sleeping with anyone's wife in episode 2 because he cut his balls off. But hey, I'm getting ahead of myself here. More on that later. In the meantime, we got to take a closer look at this Q-tip.
Behold, a virgin will be with child and bear a son, and she will call his name Marshall.
Okay, so this is the part where I throw the book out the window and pretty much diagnose these lunatics using my own subjective interpretation. I use kind of like a combination of bias and judgment to form an opinion on what makes people so fucked in the head later in life. It's not very scientific, but hey, if you want that, go ahead and watch Dr. Grande or something. All right, so let's see. Marshall Herff Applewhite Jr., stupid name, was born on May 17th, 1931 in Spur, Texas. Sounds like he should have been slinging some magical elixir at the World's Fair or something. Step right up. Anyway, he was born into a super religious Presbyterian family. Shocking, I know. Based on his looks, I tried to find some information that suggested his mom banged one of the aliens from Mac and me, but hey, no luck. Just regular old human Presbyterian sperm. Plus, I mean, looking at those Mac and me aliens, I don't even see any dong so not even sure how that would work. But hey, I mean, I'm no alien anatomy expert either, so don't ask me. His dad was a minister, so he grew up with all the classics. You know, salvation, sin, heaven and hell, all that kind of stuff. And from what I could find, Marshall himself, big fan of the Bible growing up. But, you know, he thought it would be way cooler if it was blended with, like, sci-fi, UFOs, and aliens and shit. You know, like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and Zorp. He went on to earn a master's in music and became a choir director at the University of Alabama. In my ongoing search for alien ties, I looked for evidence that he kind of laid the roadwork for that keyboard scene in Close Encounters, but again, couldn't verify anything. That scene was pretty rad, though. Okay, we're gonna stop here for just a second. He got fired for having a relationship with a male student. Okay, not underage or anything like that, but anyways, listen. Who you sleep with? None of my business. I don't care. I don't care if it's women, men, green, space, aliens, Alf.
I'll be down on you like a buzzard on a gut wagon.
Whatever, don't care. The only reason I'm even bringing it up is because Marshall himself viewed homosexuality as a sin. And later on, he didn't want his followers to find out that he was gay, so he was like, sexual desires are so human. Real next level beings like me, you don't have time for that shit. Next thing you know, an argument breaks out over who's the most devoted to celibacy, and then Marshall's like, silence, earthlings! You think you're dedicated to the next level? Psh, I'll cut my balls off right now to prove it. I mean, that's a bit far, don't you think? He should have just written a chapter in his space Bible like,
Lo, ye shall know the messenger of the next level, for he hath cast off his earthly pouch, and no flesh shall hinder his ascension. Fear not the missing fruit, for his spirit is plump with devotion.
Anyway, enough about balls. I keep getting ahead of myself with the balls thing. So, back to Marshall. The whole student relationship thing cost him his job and his wife. Yeah, I know. I searched high and low looking for evidence that his wife was just like a cardboard cutout of E.T. with a wig and lipstick or something, but again, no luck. All the stress from losing his job and wife caused him to have a nervous breakdown, and he wound up hospitalized in the psychiatric ward in Houston. But silver lining, it's here that he met Bonnie Nettles, the woman who would co-found Heaven's Gate with him. Now, I know what you're thinking. Whoop-de-doo. 2 mental patients fell in love and hatched a crazy plan together. Well, I mean, not quite. See, Bonnie here was a nurse at the hospital. And for reasons even Deanna Troi couldn't uncover, she saw Marshall as more of a prophet than a patient. You know how many prophets you run into in a place like that?
This is the body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ.
How was this nurse fooled? I mean, you're in the psychiatric unit. I don't know, people. And even before you ask, I already searched to see if Marshall had the same condition as Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind, and no.
Charles?
Wasn't just imagining her. Anyway, these two star-crossed lunatics got busy forming the theology that would become Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate, the user manual. Okay, so, you know that Tupac song, Thug's Mansion, where he's rapping about, what he wants heaven to look like? It's like a bunch of weed and liquor, no cops, just drinking peppermint schnapps with Jackie Wilson and Sam Cooke while Billie Holiday's just singing away. Well, to Marshall and Nettles, the next level looked like Mos Eisley's spaceport. Just a bunch of aliens walking around listening to jazz with a couple humans thrown into the mix. Just basically picture heaven, but swap angels and grandpa for these guys. I know it sounds crazy, but remember, you have to understand that they thought that their bodies were just borrowed vehicles that allowed them to navigate Earth until they returned to the next level. Kind of like this.
I'm wearing a human vehicle because I have to wear one for this task. I don't like it. It doesn't match me.
But minus the whole alien component, that just sounds like a core belief of a lot of religions, right? That your body is temporary, and it's the soul that counts and lives on forever. Well, Heaven's Gate did have a lot in common with Christianity. Like, look here. Scholars have described the theology of Heaven's Gate as a mixture of Christian millenarianism, New Age, and ufology, and it has been characterized as a UFO religion. Okay, so maybe I misspoke when I said a lot. According to Marshall and Nettles, the next level was highly evolved, emotionless, and purely logical. Sounds pretty much like a ripoff of Vulcan, but whatever.
I find your arguments strewn with gaping defects in logic.
So now that you know what they believed and where they thought they were going, we gotta get some definitions straight. So, what exactly is a cult, anyway? It's a pretty big question that gets thrown around a lot lately. Okay, let's see. So, wait, never mind. According to Google, a cult is a group characterized by extreme devotion to a person, ideology, or belief system, often led by a charismatic leader who demands total loyalty and exerts control over members' lives. Okay, so let's see how that applies to Marshall and Nettles. According to Wikipedia, they concluded that they had been chosen to fulfill biblical prophecies and been given higher level minds than other people. Yeah, that's setting themselves up for extreme devotion. So, check. Back to Wikipedia. They wrote a pamphlet that described Jesus' reincarnation as a Texan, a veiled reference to Applewhite. Yeah, definitely check again. They concluded that they were the two witnesses described in the book of Revelation. Yeah. And they believed they would be killed and resurrected and, in view of others, transported onto a spaceship. This event, which they referred to as the demonstration, was to prove their claims. Checkmate. So you combine that with isolating members from their families, encouraging them to cut their balls off, the tracksuits, the names, the haircuts. I think it's pretty safe to say we got a cult on our hands.
Gotta win 'em.
I want to just quickly examine one of those points just a little closer. They're mixing in so much Christianity. Jesus this, Jesus that. I thought this was about aliens. That pamphlet that they said that they wrote there. They wrote a pamphlet that described Jesus' reincarnation as a Texan in a veiled reference to Applewhite. So are they saying that Marshall is the second coming of Jesus and that inside of Marshall, who is Jesus, is an alien? Because that's a wild little Russian stacking doll. And I gotta say, quite the pamphlet, to be honest. I'd love to get my hands on one of those. But anyway, yeah, definitely a cult. And by that, I mean real cult. Nowadays, everyone just labels anything they don't like as a cult. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Words and classifications have meanings. How about we agree that unless you look like this, then they're probably just weirdos. Okay, so everybody clear on cults? Good. But I can hear you asking, how does one even find a cult to join? So once Marshall and Nettles had the basic lore down, they started thinking about their image. So they're brainstorming together like, okay, if we're gonna get people to take us seriously, well, we're gonna need those weird haircuts and matching one-piece uniforms. Let's see, what else? Marshall was pretty much born with a freakish cult-like face, so they were already good in that department. I mean, he had that permanent big smile combined with bulging eyes, like he just saw a 22-car pile up. You just gotta train your facial muscles to hold that expression 24/7. Anyway, the last thing they needed were cooler names. Marshall and Nettles? Ugh, boring. Doesn't have that, how should I say? I'm a absolute fucking weirdo kind of ring to it. So they started calling themselves Tea and Dough.
Tea, a drink with jam and bread.
Yeah, after the music scale. Okay, so they had the look and lore down, but now came the tricky part, gaining followers, which was tough for obvious reasons. It's not like they could just set up a booth on a university campus somewhere with a sign like this. They'd have better luck if Marshall just pulled a Marty McFly and scared potential recruits into joining.
Silence, Earthling!
Nah, they held public meetings anywhere that would take them. Libraries, community centers, churches, college campuses. And they advertised their events with posters and flyers with convincing messages like these. UFOs, why they are here. If you ever wanted to leave this world behind, this may be your chance. Guys, I wish there was some surviving imagery on the internet of some of these signs and flyers and stuff so I could show you, but I couldn't find anything, unfortunately. I personally can't imagine seeing a poster that said, 2 individuals say they were sent from the level above human, and being like, let's go check out that meeting. I guess maybe for a laugh, but here's the thing, you gotta remember, they weren't targeting, how should I say, normal people. Not to be rude or anything, but let's just call it, they were looking for weirdos. People whose idea of role play is dressing up like Admiral Akbar and shit.
It's a trap!
They treated Heaven's Gate like a business and ran ads in the paper. And again, not normal newspapers. Papers like Weekly World News and the National Enquirer. Remember those? I mean, those guys, they published hard-hitting journalism like this. Wait, hold on. What's that say? Bat Boy trained with elite special forces and led the police on a chase through 3 states? No way! I mean, I knew that he escaped a laboratory, fell in love, and had some kids, but I had no idea that he trained with special forces. Wait, hold the phone? He married Britney Spears? What a scoop! I mean, that's some award-winning journalism right there. Why isn't there more attention around stories like these? Like, check this one out. I mean, that should be in textbooks around the world. Anyway, their recruitment methods worked, and it wasn't long before Bat Boy fans and anyone into intergalactic gangbangs were just begging to join Heaven's Gate. I mean, remember that chart from before? Yeah, look, 1974, peak, 200 members. Then, episode 2 shit starts happening. Now I can talk about the balls. The cutting off your balls thing starts somewhere in this region here. I mean, notice the sharp drop in membership numbers. And that, my friends, brings us to episode 3. The turning point. On June 18th, 1985, Heaven's Gate experienced the single most transformative and destabilizing event in the cult's history. Something that shouldn't happen. Something that couldn't happen. Bonnie Nettles died of cancer. Now, this was a really big problem for Marshall. When their recruitment numbers were high, the gospel according to T and O taught that the whole gang would evolve together and ascend to the next level alive. They convinced their followers that their bodies, vehicles, whatever you want to call them, would literally transform. Death was actually a sign that you didn't make it. So when T dies, and doesn't come back as like E.T. Jesus, it completely rocked the members to their core. Anyway, long story short, Marshall was just like, yeah, about that. T just completed her mission and left her vehicle ahead of schedule. We now believe you have to die and shed your skin suit to ascend to the next level. Welcome to Heaven's Gate 2.0. And let's pull up our membership chart again. Marshall told everyone they would need to off themselves right around here somewhere. By the early to mid-90s, their numbers evaporated. Naturally. Like 98% of their followers were like, sorry, Marshall, but I actually like dinosaurs now. Jurassic Park rules. Good luck getting to the next level. So Marshall's like, guys, relax. T's been communicating with me from the next level. What, you think I'm just making this shit up as I go? From what I could find, it was kind of like this.
Join me, Marshall. It's more beautiful than we ever imagined. The Cantina Band is playing your favorite song. The Sand People and the Klingons got into a fight, but Master Yoda broke it up. They even allowed droids here. Hurry, Marshall. Bring the away team and come to me.
Sure, about 95% of their followers were like, but the remaining 5% just tossed on their tracksuits and began putting their affairs in order. Meanwhile, it was the 90s. Let's just say Heaven's Gate was up to date with the latest technology. Yeah, they had a website. And it's still active. Check it out. It looks like a time capsule from the mid-90s. GeoCities or something. Heavensgate.com. Man, they don't make them like they used to. This color palette was such a thing. It's so hard to read. I spent like an hour browsing this page. You can read in-depth Earth exit statements written by members. It's full of massive video transcripts too. You can request German translations for some reason even. No Klingon or Vulcan though.
Is there a word in Klingon for loneliness? Oh, yes. Gardak.
I don't know. I guess you're on your own when you're trying to have a conversation with the Sand People in the next level. That's gonna lead to a brawl for sure. Wild stuff, man. If you want to learn more about what they believed, it's all right here. Or hey, just send them an email at rep@heavensgate.com. I messaged them like a month ago. I was a little bit worried that I'd see a bright light and then wake up in some nerd's basement in New Mexico with no balls, but nothing like that's happened yet. But if I disappear after this episode, try, flashing Batboy symbol into the sky or something. Anyway, I wasn't kidding when I said it's like a 90s time capsule. I guess because no one's been around to update it. Who's paying for the domain even at this point, right? Like, who's keeping this website afloat?
You're welcome.
Look at this. Our 22 years of classroom here on planet Earth is finally coming to conclusion. Graduation from the human evolutionary level. We're happily prepared to leave this world and go with T's crew. It says right here on the homepage, Hale Bopp brings closure to Heaven's Gate. Man, they really weren't kidding.
Planet Earth about to be recycled. Your only chance to survive or evacuate is to leave with us.
Yeah, no, that's a hard pass. That's Marshall addressing his followers, telling them it's almost time to exit their human vehicles, aka their bodies, and ascend to the next level. They did what they were told, and March 1997, they began putting their affairs in order. The internet is full of these eerie farewell videos that they filmed trying to reassure their friends and family that they were happy to be going.
Somebody on the other side of this camera watching this tape would probably say, what's going on? You all must not have a life, or you're deluded, or you're brainwashed, or whatever. From our perspective, from my perspective, this is godsend. I mean, this is the answer to everything. These flesh vehicles. I mean, that's about all we're talking about. It's not a big deal.
Spooky shit, man.
We're all choosing of our own free will, go to the next level with T and Doe. And they are certainly not what the media is going to paint them out to be.
That was the last time anyone would ever hear from them again. They rented a mansion in Rancho Santa Fe, and as the Hale Bopp comet approached, they slipped into their matching uniforms, black shirts, track pants, and brand new Nike Decade sneakers for some reason. On March 26, 1997, police entered the mansion and found 39 bodies neatly arranged with armbands that read, Heaven's Gate, Away Team. To everyone watching on their TV screens at home, it was an insane and completely avoidable tragedy. But to Marshall's followers, it was a successful departure. The only silver lining to this crazy story is that plenty of members had the sense to just walk away. For the 39 who followed Marshall to the end, it's a tragic tale of what happens when you stop sipping on the Kool-Aid, Flavor Aid, whatever, and start just shotgunning it back. Man. We covered a lot in this episode, and the ending really only leaves us with more questions, like, what do you guys think? Did Marshall and Nettles actually believe what they preached? I think it's safe to say their followers did, given that they actually went all the way through with it. But if Marshall didn't believe it himself, then why? What did he have to gain in the end? Why not just dissolve the cult after T died? If he could convince his followers that death was the answer, surely he could have come up with something that wasn't so, permanent. But my biggest question still remains. How does this shit keep happening? Look at this guy. How? Why? How could you look at him and not think, yeah, that guy's a cult leader? But like I said, they weren't the first cult, and they definitely won't be the last. So what do you think? Was Marshall evil, or was he just drunk on his own Kool-Aid? Let me know in the comments below, and of course, don't forget to murder that subscribe button, because I've got more killer content dropping all the time. I'll see you in the next one, cornflakes. If not, call Bat Boy.